To wrap up this chapter, what I want to do is introduce you to some very basic methods of making your queries run faster. It is essentially Oracle Performance Tuning, but it's a very small section of it, and it applies specifically to what this chapter is all about. It is a little bit advanced, but it's very, very important that even as a SQL programming developer, that you understand some of the basics of this. What I've done with this is I've gone through a process to explain it. And to begin with, I've actually gone and edited your work file. As you can see, something has disappeared from there. That information wasn't really relevant to the topic at hand, other than the fact that I'm going to use a number of different users in this example. But let's try to keep it simple. First of all, so I would connect to the system user because I want to go and count information from different users. I have a data warehouse on my database with some large tables, relatively large, about 600,000 rows in this table. What I'm trying to show you is the difference between various queries. So in SQL Plus, I'm going to go directly into SQL Plus on my Linux server. SQL Plus, no log, don't want to connect as anything. I'm going to connect as system, guess my password, set timing on. Set timing on as SQL Plus gives me a response. Every time I run a query, it tells me how long it took to run. Now what I say here in the text file is don't do this, just passes lots of data over the network. We don't want to execute a query that pulls 600,000 rows and repeats it across the network and dumps all the data into this window. That's pointless. So I'm going to use a wrapper counter, which you've seen earlier in this course. What this particular query here will do, and here's where we're talking about reading indexes. When you count from this table, in theory, it might actually full scan the entire table, although Oracle is now intelligent enough to try to read an index. What you really want to do is to specify an indexed column so that the count will run faster. Has it run faster? It looks like it has. We could demonstrate this by picking out a column. If we go in to SQL Developer and we go into, and here's another thing I need to show you here. I'm going to connect to System. I'm going to go down in SQL Developer and go to the Other Users tag. I'm going to find a user called DW. So I'm connected to System, but I'm hooking through to a different user. I'm going to look at my cell table and bring it up on the screen. Now let's figure out a column that we probably don't have a key for, transaction amount. Let's do select count, transaction amount. Well, we need to type count transaction amount from dw.cell. Remember, I connected a system and I'm looking at the DW user. And that takes a lot longer. It's not reading an index. As you can see, 226, the last one executed in 6 milliseconds. So now I actually want to take that example, count transaction amount from dw.cell. The other thing I want to show you is the explain plan for these various commands to show you how long it's taking or how long Oracle thinks it's going to take. An explain plan in Oracle, you don't need to worry about it too much. It's really details under performance tuning, which is a much more advanced course than this. However, showing you what this stuff does in vague detail gives you some idea of what you can do with Oracle. So as opposed to just highlighting this line or clicking it like this and pressing the play button, which I can do, what I want to do is I want to go to this little icon here and click explain plan, and it tells me, as you can see here, that it's read an index and it's fast full scanned it, and it's going to cost 346. Don't worry about what that means, just that it's a cost of 346. Now let's go and look at this particular query here, and this is going to find the same data as the previous one. I'm going to run the explain plan on this one and look at this one, and it's going to read the same index at the same cost. Why? Because for some reason the optimizer now knows that it's a good idea to read this particular index when counting. In past versions of Oracle, the count asterisk would often just do a full table scan. This example, however, will be interesting. So let's highlight this one. There is no key on this column. It needs to check every value, if you like. It needs to count every value. So we run an explain plan, and it's going to tell me it's full table access. And look at the cost, how it's jumped up. So this case is reading the entire table. The previous two examples read an index. An index is a small copy of a small section or a small number of columns of a table. It's much less I/O, which is one of the biggest factors in making your queries run faster. Reduce your amount of I/O. And we're going to continue this topic in the next movie.